Try and sum up just how big an achievement a treble is. Do you think you'd ever live to see it?
No, I didn't. I'm not going to see a Lisbon in my lifetime. It's not going to happen the way football is nowadays, so that's about as close as I'll get.
Went to Seville and thought that was probably the best day ever. That's hard to beat. You know, I've been treble. I doubt very much anybody will ever do it again.
First year in my lifetime again, you know, so absolutely fantastic.
It's absolutely massive. Probably no see it done again. Absolutely fantastic. So well done to the team.
Welcome back to Hampden Park. We've done it. We've won a treble for the first time in Scottish football history. Yes, folks, good evening. Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's time for the Scottish Cup final preview ahead of the game on Sunday at Hampden against Hearts. Boys, a nice wee look back to the 2019 final there. Back in the good old days, Kenny, when we could go to football matches.
Yeah, I mean, what I remember of that day, actually, I mean, it was 130 years passed before we got a double treble, right? And I remember going to the double treble and thinking, this is just so historic. You know, I was so proud, sat there and emotional and thinking, you know, this has never been done before. This will never happen again. So it was almost surreal waking up on the day of the game for a treble. It was like you just had to pinch yourself that you were actually on the verge of that. And then the actual game itself, I mean, we actually performed in a way that I hope we don't this weekend, in that we took a kind of half to get going. You know, we passed up a half, and once you do that, you give them a bit of oxygen in the game. And then when they scored that goal in the 50-odd minute, I mean, it was such a crumbling feeling. You just did not know where we were headed. But they showed real determination that day, and McGregor and Brown just dominated the middle of the park. And the one thing we had that day was a spectacular Edward. We don't have that at the minute. We'll probably come on to talk about him, I'm sure. But wow, that final finish, that was a one-touch finish from outside the box after that huge header from Lustig. And that just summed up that. It was a brilliant way to win the title with such a quality finish from our talisman. And yeah, so euphoric. And I would never have thought that roll forward another, 18 months in this bizarre case, that roll forward another season, we'd be going for 4. It's just incredible.
That is crazy, Callum. That day was fraught with nerves, as you would expect. What's your memory of it?
Oh, that's a good question. For the start, when I first got up, that excitement, butterflies in your stomach. You felt as if you were maybe like a player. Like I wanted to play the game because I wanted to make sure that we could get it over the line. Thank God I didn't play the game because I probably would have lost it. But the feeling, excitement throughout the house. My dad, my little brother, we all go to the games, and we were all buzzing for it. And then also when we went 1-0 down, that was one of the moments where you started kicking the chair in front of you, and you just started to wonder if it was going to be that day that it wasn't going to happen. And I mean, as soon as the penalty was given down our end, it was just like, right, this is the chance, bury it. And usually my little brother gets his phone out and records stuff, and whenever he's done it, we never score a pen. So he was about to do it, and I tell him, get the phone away, stick it away, it's a bad omen. And luckily enough, Edward put it away, and then the second goal's just, I mean, do you remember the emotion? Just everybody was hugging everybody, and I mean, that is just one of the best days at Hampden I've ever had, like right up there with one of the best moments in football. Even to do one treble, especially an invincible, is kind of unthinkable. But I mean, to go in this weekend to possibly do 4, I mean, even the greatest of the greats haven't even touched that close. I mean, I'm talking even better teams than us. Your Bayerns that dominate their leagues and try and get trebles, they don't do it. This is something that is unthinkable. And if Celtic can pull it off on Sunday, I mean, wow! Just we're not in a great place right now, but if we get this achievement over the line, it is honestly right up there, one of the best that's ever happened at the club.
Aye, 100%. This is a live format. As usual, you can ask your questions. We'll pick out some good ones as we go through. Kenny, how do you feel coming into this final? I mean, it's strange that it's a Scottish Cup final in December, for starters. Obviously, a knock-on effect to the pandemic this year, but how do you feel about our form coming into it? Obviously, we've not had a great first half of the season, but better recently off the back of back-to-back wins over Lille and Kilmarnock. So how do you feel going into it?
I'm feeling certainly a lot better than I did 10 days ago. still a bit apprehensive. I think it would be a bit naive to say, well, we've turned a corner, we're going to scoosh the Scottish Cup final, and then we're going to go on and put a big run together in the league. I think the damage has been so deep this season that would be a bit foolish to have that mindset. I think there are signs that were showing a bit more unity. It was nice to see how candid Duffy was in his interview a few days ago. I think that shows you that he's not been playing poorly because of a dressing room split or some poisonous thing running through, the players. It was just because he's struggled for his own reasons. El Hamed's the same. I dare say Barkas is the same. He's just not settled personally. But I think that will come. And I think that aligned to the freshness that Turnbull and Sorrell have given us. There'll be a question mark as to whether they'll start, which we'll assess. But the freshness that they've given us is giving us a real impetus. And I think playing people in their natural position, playing with two wingers, Frimpong and El Yunusi, in their normal positions, and playing with two fullbacks in behind them, is giving us better overload in the wide areas and a bit more solidity from Ayer at right back. All these things have turned around pretty quickly in the last 2 games. They put us in a much better shape. But I'm nervous about centre-backs, and because it doesn't take much to cut them open, let's be honest. And I'm nervous about up front because Eddie, you don't know what you're going to get with him this year. He could score a hat-trick and run them ragged and be an absolute star. That could easily happen. He could be off the boil. So in that respect, I'm a bit nervous. I think we'll do it, but I think we need to be a bit cautious.
Callum, Kenny's kind of touched on it there. Big selection headaches for the manager on Sunday. We've obviously had the introduction of Sorrow and Turnbull into the team. We've had Hazard playing goals for those back-to-back wins over Lille and Kilmarnock. I'll bring in a question here for Roddy Erdley. How's this for a curveball? 4-2-3-1, Brown and Sorrow deep, McGregor on the left-hand side, Christie on the right, and Turnbull in the number 10 role. Would you make of that? Callum McGregor, that's a more advanced position. It'd be more advanced for Callum McGregor, but on the left-hand side.
Right, just to make this clear to anybody that's watching right now, I do not know who Roddy is. I've never met the guy, but that is the exact same thing that I was thinking in my head. So I don't know him at all, but I genuinely thought we could maybe put McGregor out in the left. He done it under Rodgers. He adapted that role, and he got a lot more goals in that role. I can remember previous games at Ibrox. I think it's the 5-0, and he scores the third one, beats Taverny through the legs. So he's played that role before. He knows it, and especially when we're defending, we've got a little bit more cover then. If you get Sorrow and Brown, 2 players that like to sit back. I think where McGregor suffered this season is under Brown, maybe with the legs going a little bit. He needs to look over his shoulder and make sure that he's covering. So that could be a possibility. I don't know how he's going to fit everybody in. Not everybody's in scintillating form, but obviously with the comments that he was making last week, where he'll turn to the older boys that got us this far. So we know Brown's going to play. He's a stick on to play. So we're going to have probably him and McGregor in the 2. I would suspect. Does Turnbull play over Rogic? That's the big question for me, because Rogic is a big game winner. He's done it countless times, especially the top that I'm wearing was the 2016. We done the invincible treble, and he obviously is doing history for that absolute crazy goal that he scores against Aberdeen. So do you leave him out, and do you let somebody that's not played at this type of level, do you give him that shot in Turnbull? I don't know. So he's got a lot of headaches. Keepers one as well. Do we go with young Connor, or does he go for Barkas? And if he goes for Barkas and we win and maybe a clean sheet, is that the kick on that Barkas needs? The confidence? There's many options. But that's why Neil Lennon gets paid a lot of money. He's to make the options, and hopefully they're the right ones.
Interesting that you talk about trying to fit everybody in, and not everybody's in scintillating form. Kenny, I think Jeremy Frimpong hasn't been in great form recently. So, in my opinion, I think Christie and Turnbull can definitely play together. I think Christie can go to the right-hand side and replace Frimpong if Ayer's going to be at right back, and Turnbull can keep his position in the 10.
I think it would be criminal. Look, Sorrow's not going to start ahead of Brown. If I was in charge, I probably would, because I think you need to divorce the sentiment from actually getting the result. But that's not going to be up for debate. I think it would be criminal if he dropped Turnbull. He's just created a flare. His dead balls. His dead balls have completely transformed our amounts of shots on goal and the problems we're causing teams. That alone means he can't come out of the team. I think if he drops Turnbull, he's opening himself up to huge criticism. So I would definitely play Turnbull. I agree with you that Frimpong, his final ball's not been good all season. He's running, his ability to carve people open's been snuffed out a bit lately, but it does give you that natural shape down that right-hand side. Christie's been playing out on the right-hand side a lot during that miserable run, and him and Rogic were really confusing each other, I felt. Not playing far too narrow. And I'd be a bit nervous about reintroducing him with Turnbull. They have no relationship. And if he starts coming inside all the time, he plays with a lot of energy, but he's not been creating. The reality is he's not got that many assists and goals this season. Personally, I'd just keep a natural shape, let Frimpong run down that right-hand side and give Turnbull the freedom of the 10 position on his own. But I think he's got to play Turnbull.
Yeah, I think at Turnbull's for him, he's got to at least play a big part in the game. Even if he doesn't start, he's got to get a lot of time off the bench. Callum,
I think just one more, Paul. I think left back's a debate, right? Because we've got Laxalt and Taylor. Now, on paper, Laxalt has been so dynamic. He bombs forward. He looks aggressive. He looks good in the ball. Unfortunately, when he's been in the team, we've shipped a record amount of goals. Taylor's almost the opposite. He's pretty boring. He's pretty steady. He doesn't look good in the eye. But when he's in the team, we win almost every game this season. So that's a tough call to make. I think on balance, I'd go Taylor. But that's another call he's got.
I want to ask Callum about that, actually, because that is something I've heard a few people saying. Laxalt really impressed when he came into the team. He was brilliant in the early games that he played. Covers so much ground. But I think at times, he's a wee bit like a headless chicken. And I think defensively, his tackling's excellent and stuff. But I think that form that he had when he first came in is kind of worn off. I know a lot of people don't fancy Greg Taylor, Callum, but I mean, what do you think for left back Sunday?
I'd say Greg Taylor gives you more defensive cover than I would Laxalt. Laxalt likes to get up the park. I don't know. I actually think the bigger question is on the other side. Is Ayer getting stuck at right back? That's probably the bigger question. For me, on the left back first, I'd probably go Taylor. I'd probably go Greg Taylor, just for the game, because on that side, Jamie Walker plays on the right side for Hearts. Greg Taylor's come up against him a few I'd probably just edge Greg Taylor. But sorry, buddy. Can you hear me now?
You're right, man. Aye. Keep going.
Aye, sorry, I was going to say I would go Greg Taylor at left back, and right back I'd probably stick Ayer at right back.
Aye, Callum's doing brilliant to talk without moving there, Kenny. You can see in the comments that Taylor's dividing opinion. A few people saying they shouldn't start, a lot of people saying get him in there. So there's no doubt that is going to be a tough call for Neil Lennon. Can you see where he's coming from, Kenny, with the comments last week about playing the guys who have got us there? Can you see his thinking?
I mean, I can understand the sentiment behind it, because it's an emotional event, this, right? It's something that will never happen again. It's something that we'll tell our children about, and they'll tell their children about. There's a lot of romance to it. But romance means nothing if we blow it. And based on the strength of some of the performances we've been putting in lately, with the old guard at the heart of it, there's a greater possibility we could blow it if we're not playing fresh, hungry players that have got their jersey on merit. If he was to play Rogic in front of Turnbull, that would be a travesty. I could just about stomach him playing Brown in front of Sorrow, because I think Brown's had a poor season, but he's had 2 weeks off, effectively. So he should be really fresh. And I think he must surely still have it in him to raise his game against Hearts in a cup final. So I think I could cope with that one. But I think his overall comments about, we're going to be bringing in some of the older guys that got us there, I thought that he shouldn't have said it. I thought, it gives away your hand to Hearts as well in terms of what you're going to do. And it's pretty demoralising for people that have just walked off the park and have got the jersey on merit. So if he wanted to keep that up his sleeve, I think he should have just kept that to himself. But we'll see where we go.
In terms of Hearts, Callum, they are currently sitting top of the Championship, obviously. 4 wins and 2 defeats for their last 6 games. I mean, you can't believe that squad of that quality is actually in the Scottish Championship, can you? It's far too good to be in that league.
Aye, it's I actually had a look at it, and there's a couple of international players in there: Craig Gordon, Michael Smith, Liam Boyce. So I mean, is there any other international player in the Championship apart from in the Hearts squad? I probably don't think there is. So that tells you the strength and depth that Hearts have actually got. How they're in the Championship, I don't know. I mean, they were stinking last year, but they should never have been in that position. So it'll be a much harder task. With that squad they've got on paper, that's a top 6 team. Let's be honest, in the league. I mean, they've got Christoph Berra back, Halkett back. They've all played at the top level for a while. So it's a top 6 team for me that we're coming up against. It's no like you're coming up against a Dunfermline in a final and you just know you're probably going to win. This no doubt about it. This will be a hard game on Sunday. Hearts are not just going to turn up to make the numbers. They're going to go out there and think that they can get at Celtic, which right now they probably can get at Celtic. That's why the first 20-25 minutes has to be a strong start from Celtic. We need to be on the front foot. We need to take the game to Hearts. We need to really mark our authority in the game and try and get that early goal so then it forces them out, because there's no doubt their game plan will be sit, frustrate and then hit Celtic on the counter. The longer the game goes, the more nervous Celtic will become. So that'll be their game plan for the start. So Celtic need to approach it with caution, but be confident, and we're the better players. Maybe not in the better form, but by far we'll get the better score, and we can hurt Hearts a lot more than they can hurt us. So we need to make sure that we're just on our game, and hopefully we're coming away with the win.
Aye, absolutely. By the way, I meant to say at the top of the show, we've got a wee treble quiz coming at the end, so hang about for that. You can get involved with that in the comments as well. Kenny, Craig Gordon was obviously the hero for Hearts in the semi-final against Hibs. We've talked about who we'll have in goals on Sunday. We're not really sure. Whoever we have, do you think Hearts have got the best goalkeeper?
Yeah, that's clear. I mean, we're probably going to have a 22-year-old guy. Good luck to him. I hope he can hold himself in that type of environment. But that's risky. It's another one we need to be worried about. And they're going to have a 38-year-old guy who's been through the whole thing. He's got some sort of personal. I mean, he's going for a personal 10 in a row. He's won the last 9 medals. Okay, he's 38 and he's getting on a bit, but goalkeepers can play into their 40s now. And look at his performance in the semi-final. I mean, he got them there, right? And he's probably got he's probably got a chip on his shoulder, because Celtic, I think, offered him a pretty derisory contract when he's been a really good servant. And that was wrong, because had they paid him a bit more, he would have been a number 1 for us. And I don't think we'd be as far down in the league. Who knows? I mean, he would have probably put the shutters up more than Ferencváros, that night. He's that type of player. Big games, he comes along, he raises his game, he gets his hand to things that you just will not believe. And I think he's our biggest threat in terms of, going late and we'll not scored a goal and it's going late into the game. You might well find that he raises himself to a really high level. But, he's only a human being, and we've got so much quality going forward. I'm confident ultimately we'll break him down. But that's an interesting narrative to the whole day, is Craig Gordon and how up for it he's going to be.
Aye, Callum, there's no doubt. We've seen it in his time here at Celtic. In terms of shot-stop mobility, Craig Gordon can be top class.
Oh, aye, he's by far the best goalkeeper that will be on the park anyway. Because let's be honest, if we had the choice, if Craig Gordon was back at the club, he'd be our number 1 right now. There's no doubt. Which seems a bit strange that we've managed to somehow let the keeper go, and he's now coming up against us to stop us doing a quadruple treble. It seems a bit far-fetched. If somebody was to tell me that maybe a year or 2 years ago, I wouldn't probably believe you. But that's the way it is. So we need to come up against him. All his strong points that he has and the players will know that, is he has weaknesses as well, and the players will also know that as well. Every keeper has them, strengths and weaknesses. So we need to target them as well. And he knows he'll be the keeper that's tested more. Well, I'm hoping that he's the keeper that's been tested more throughout the game. So hopefully we're just at it, Paul. I mean, I feel nervous already, and it's still a couple of days away, but I can feel it already, because it's just so monumental if Celtic can pull this off. It's just, honestly, it's unheard of. Like, forget throwing money at competitions and all your rich clubs like your Paris Saint-Germain's. Money can't buy you everything, and what we're about to see, and if we can pull it off, you will be spoke about for the next 60, 80 years down the line, and I'll be able to say when I'm 80-year-old saying, I seen my team win 4 trebles in a row. It's just words can't even describe how big an achievement this is going to be. And ironically, we've not had a great season, let's be honest. We're no great. We're sitting second in the league. We're out of some of the competitions. But I mean, there's still that massive carrot dangling there. That's the real big one, and then after that it's the league. So we need to go into the game, and hopefully we can just come out with a positive result and we get it.
Although we're nervous, right? They do still have Andy Halliday. We need that takes the nerves out of me. I mean, let's keep one foot in the ground here. He dropped a division to get away from Celtic. Now he's going to be culpable for a quadruple treble. Poor guy.
I know he's been talking about facing Shane Duffy. The open goal stuff. The open goal podcast have been talking about how I think Goldson told him because they'd been together at Brighton that Shane Duffy hated him. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if they end up with 50-50 anyway. The last one before we move on, in terms of team selection for us, Joe Jackson's asking who starts up top, Klimala or Edouard. Patrick Klimala's 100% effort. I mean, where do you stand with that, Kenny? I think Edouard, as we've talked about, 2019 final, you see all his class there. Not quite been at his best recently. I didn't think he was too bad against Kilmarnock. I really didn't. I think, again, he's getting in the positions. Just if you think about the games, that really bad run that we had, he scored a brilliant goal away in Prague. He scored a fantastic, lovely wee dink finish against AC Milan as well. So it's not like he's went through 10, 15 games where he just can't score. But having said that, he's not in top form. So who do you think will lead the line on Sunday? I
think it's got to be Eddie. I mean, his goal return's actually pretty good. His goals per minute all season, it's brilliant. I'm sure it isn't as good as the previous season, but it's not consistent with having a terrible season. And it's just his body language. But his body language, he's hard to read because he's so classic. He's a languid big guy who doesn't look energised. He never has. And when the team's doing brilliantly, that's fine because that's just Eddie's style. That's the way he is. When the team's doing really badly, you think, does he care? I've been a bit disappointed at the start of the season. I thought he's one of the ones that would care. It's hard to tell because of his body language, but I feel that some sort of transfer things upset him. I think something's maybe going on with his agent, or because he's got a bigger smile on his face when he plays for France than he does Celtic. But big players rise to the big occasion, and if he's maybe not that motivated against a Kilmarnock, I'd be surprised if he's not motivated at Hampden, a ground where he's had great memories of his own. And if this will be his last season for Celtic, I'm sure he personally will want to go out with that huge accolade on his shoulders. So, no, I don't think you can put Klimala in ahead of him. No, don't be too disparaging about Klimala, but and he's got great work rate, great effort. But I think he's too raw. I don't really even see him as being second or even third choice striker. Griffiths or Ajeti are more of a threat to me. They won't play because they've not been getting games. I think it's Eddie up top on his own, and we just hope he's has one of his whirlwind games.
Callum, as Kenny kind of touched on there, I think his body language is always the way it's been. It's kind of similar. Jamie McGowan saying there in the comments, similar to Samaras is. That's just the way he is. Well, when he's playing well, you don't talk about it, but as soon as he stops playing well, it's everybody's first thing on everybody's lips. Do you think we've seen that he's a big game player, but and again, as Kenny says, at a cup final, we know that he's got a performance in him?
Aye, it would be criminal to leave a £9 million man out that you paid for in a cup final for what's at stake. So Neil Lennon won't leave him out. He'll start. But to back to that point, some people might be claiming that he doesn't look interested. Edouard can't win with some of the fans because see when he was scoring goals, all the pundits were having a go at him because he wasn't celebrating. So even when he's scoring, he looks lazy. That tells you everything about him then. So when he's out of form and when he's in form, he looks lazy all the time. It's just how the French players seem to come across. I mean, Christopher Julian looks very laid back at the back as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's more just his style, but you've got to go with Edouard. And as you say with Craig Gordon, he's been in this position. So's Edouard. Edouard's been in this position, scored 2 last year. He made the treble happen against Hearts, so he knows the pressure. I don't know how it's going to be without fans. I wonder what effect that would have on both sides and how big an impact that would have. Because sometimes I feel the fans have got Celtic over the line just by giving them that push, especially if we were to go 1-0 down on Sunday. I don't know how we would react to the way we reacted in the treble one under Hearts because the fans stuck with it. And there was also that was the time Billy McNeil had passed away in Chalmers. So there was a real togetherness with everybody in the crowd. You just felt it. I don't know how to explain it properly, but everybody felt that connection. The number 9 and 5 on the shorts, etc., in the crowd. So there was a real momentous day that day. That would be my only worry, is if we were to go 1-0 down, how would the team react without any fans? That would be my only big worry.
Kenny, we've talked about the impact of lack of fans a lot this season. I know it's a cup final, so there is that element to it as well, where you wish that the supporters were there, like to share in a celebration if we do get the win and to push the team over the line if they need it. But I think at the end of the day, we just need to see a performance from the team where they are focused and everybody does their job. And if we play to anywhere near our level, we should win it. Yeah,
the lack of fans definitely has affected us this season, and people can say, "Oh, that's a cheap argument because everyone's not got their fans." Well, I don't think it is, because some teams respond well in front of the fans. Some people don't like the weight of their support; they crumble under it. We don't. We've always been galvanised by it, and it's a hindrance to us. Surely they're going to be self-motivated. Lennon shouldn't need to even do a team talk. They should be, they should be so up for it and so self-motivated that when they cross that white line, they're at it right for the off. When we've not been at it from the off this season, that's what's cost us the points. How many first halves have we just ghosted through and given up? All of a sudden, we're in a rut with 20 minutes to go. That's what will kill us if that happens on Sunday. We've got to avoid it. We've got to start and come right out the traps. And you know what? I think we will do it. But what I think it will also do is hopefully it will galvanise us mentally for the rest of this campaign. Surely it's going to bring a bit of unity and a bit of team spirit and a bit of belief back. And so I think it's kind of a double effect. But it's hard to be certain based on what we've seen this season, because they've surprised us for all the wrong reasons. But I've got some faith that they're going to come out the traps.
I think we need to take control of the game early. We do need something to lift us. I think surely lifting a trophy, even if it is a completion of a tournament for last season, that's got to be something that will hopefully raise the morale of the players and galvanise us, as you say, for the league run. Callum, the last 5 meetings against Hearts are running along the bottom of the screen. There is a 5-0 in there, but the predominant scoreline is 2-1. And a lot of those games have been close, even when Hearts were going through some bad spells. So do you expect it to be similar on Sunday, a close game?
Aye. I expect it to be... I was going to go 2-1 in my prediction. See, sometimes you look at teams and they can be bottom of the league, and last night's a great example. It does not matter. It does not matter because teams raise their game, whoever it is, when they play us. So a lot of these scores maybe are 2-1 and Hearts were maybe down the bottom of the league. But you seen last year how Hearts had put out Rangers in the Cup, but couldn't buy a win against the likes of St Mirren and Hamilton and all the teams around them. So it tells you that on Sunday, it does not matter what position they're in, what league they're in, they will come and try and win this game. They'll make it hard for Celtic. So I expect a tough game. I hope that we can just get that early goal. That's the big thing for me. I think we need the early goal to really control the game and the outcome of it. Also, what we've not covered, it's going to be very interesting to see Scott Brown against Halliday. That will be a very interesting battle in the middle of the park. That's even if Halliday starts, to be honest. I mean, I don't even think he would start. So I think they play Oliver Lee. There's another boy in midfield that they play, so he might not even get on. But I expect it to be a tight game, but I'll go 2-1 in my prediction.
We'll see with the team. We're not 100% sure. I don't know if Scott Brown's going to start. Halliday started in their semi-final, but he didn't start last weekend against Queen of the South. Kenny, before we get to the quiz, do you expect it to be tight and nervy, kind of like last season's final?
I think it's hard to find an argument to say it won't be in that. I think they'll probably score because I don't think defensively we're organised enough to be confident. Boyce is a good striker. And Naismith, okay, he's getting on a bit, but he hates us, right? He's going to be absolutely gunning for us. And they can cause you problems. So I'm not convinced they won't score. So will we get 3, 4, 5 goals? I'm not sure of that either. I would go 3-1. I think they'll have enough in them to not make it some last minute nervy affair. I can see Hearts scoring, but I can see us putting a bit of distance and maybe doing it 3-1.
Hopefully. Right, here we go. Quiz time. I've got 5 questions here and a bonus question as well. 5 questions about Celtic's treble run. You can get involved in the comments as well. The closest, I'll give the point to the closest answer. First question is this is just the cups, by the way, League Cup and Scottish Cup throughout this run. So not the league or any European games. Who is Celtic's top scorer in this treble, potentially quadruple treble run in the cup ties? Kenny, I'll let you go first.
Sinclair?
I was going to go Scott Sinclair. I'll go Scott Sinclair as well.
It's MD in the comments. Don't think MD's got it. Musa Dembele, 17. Chris M in the comments. And the boys podcast got it as well. 17 goals for Dembele. I think at one point Sinclair was the top goal scorer if he took in league games. So no points for either. How many different scorers have Celtic had in the cup ties throughout this run?
The finals are every single tie. Every single
tie from 2016-17 forward to
There's
now.
a couple of 5-0s in there as well.
How many different scorers?
25.
Callum?
I'll go 32.
Kenny's closer. 20 is the answer. I don't think MD got it in the comments. Jason Riley got 21. I don't think MD got it nailed on, but we'll give a point to Kenny for that one. What's been the biggest winning margin in the run? Again, League Cup and Scottish Cup since 2016-17. What's been the biggest single winning margin? What game was it?
I beat Rangers 4-0.
4-0 at Hampden
Under
Graham Murray.
I don't know if there's been some early round thumpings.
I think might need to rack your brains for this one. I'll get you a clue. It was at Celtic Park.
Was it 5-0 St Johnstone? Scott Brown scored an absolute screamer, top bag. Is that the right game I'm thinking of?
Kenny?
Pass. I can't. I'd be copying Callum and just telling a lie to myself.
A few people in the comments did get the right winning margin. Burnsy Boy, Chris D, 6-0. It was 6-0 against Inverness on the 11th of February 2017. Musa Dembele got a hat-trick. I think there was about 25,000 people there. Right, question 4. How many clean sheets in the run of 35 games unbeaten? Obviously, it's ironic that we're technically still going with this run because we can complete a treble, but it also ended a couple of weeks ago against Ross County. But in the run of 35 games, how many clean sheets did we keep?
Is 18?
18,
No,
right.
I think it's higher.
Kenny, right.
I'd go to 23.
The right answer is 26. 26 out of 35. Again, don't think anybody got it in the comments. Kenny, you were closer. So we'll give you the point for that one. Right, total number of goals scored. Again, closest answer will get it. Total number of goals over the 35 games. How many goals have we scored in
102.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know. Is it more than that?
It's probably going to be around about 3 average. 105.
Correct answer is 104.
Oh, come on.
I've done you, Callum, in every round.
Absolutely.
He bounced off me there. Bounced off it.
Aye, 104. So Kenny was 1 out and you were 2 out. That was a close one. The bonus question, which we don't need, but I'll ask it anyway. Again, This is a bit of a random one. Get involved in the comments if you can. How many different nationalities have scored goals for Celtic in this run? 20 different scorers. How many nationalities?
I'll go 12.
I'll say 6. Well, no, I'll say 6.
Right, Callum's went 12. Kenny's went 6. 9. 9.
I'll take that one, right? I'll take it.
Callum, you can take that one for the consolation.
Aye.
Right, Callum, you've gave us your prediction, 2-1. Kenny, do you want to give us a score prediction before we go?
I think 3-1. My heart couldn't cope with 2-1, so let's hope it's 3-1.
Aye, well, I wish I didn't think this, but I think it'll be 2-1 as well. I think it might be another nervy one, but all that matters is if we can lift the trophy at the end of the day. Thanks for joining us tonight. Like the video, comment with your own thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We will be back with the starting 11 prediction on Saturday and then the live full-time reaction after the Cup final on Sunday. This weekend, I'll be taking part in a Celtic State of Mind's charity event as well. I'll be on with Paul John Dykes for an hour slot. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I'll bring more news of it when I have it on Twitter as well. Thanks for joining us. Cheers.